Hello, everybody. We are live and going to be talking about the Airbnb rules and regulations, some of the things that you might need to know if you were to get Airbnb. Because I got this question not too long ago. Let me see if I can pull it up here from a viewer who wanted to know, like, are Airbnbs really not that popular in Japan? That struck me like as odd because I thought that they were popular. So I looked a little bit into this and I discovered that it is quite complicated to get well, not complicated, but there's so many rules and regulations to Japan that make it unique to other countries that might impact whether or not you decide to stay in an Airbnb. And we've got a live chat here as this is a live show. We'll be talking with some of the viewers and their questions about this. That's you. And you can leave your comments down in the bottom of this video as well, which our community will either answer or I will and take a look at it within the next few hours from it. But I've read some things about it. I'm not sure if it's true or not. I'm not sure what those things were. This viewer did not, and this was a month ago, did not explain a little bit more about what they wanted to know about Airbnb, but it made me really curious about this. So I decided to look into this a little bit more. And I found that, there's a lot of issues with regards to the volume is low. There's some people are saying, let's see if we can pull it up here a little bit. How's that? Maybe that's a little bit better for you. Yeah, let's see here. Maybe we can get this. It should be fine. What do you guys think? Better? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people, we're getting people in the live chat saying, I hate Airbnb. Really? I'd like to know why. This is from Ruisu FD. I'd like to know why maybe you're not into this Airbnb thing. I stayed in one on Sado Island. You can take a look at that in a live stream I did about a week ago. I gave you a tour of the Airbnb. It was spectacular, although quite pricey because of the timing. We went at a high season for the island in Sado during the Earth celebration. I think Ruth had said that she had paid about 300,000 yen, which is about $2,000 for 3 nights, which is a lot, but it had enough space for, I think it was like let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, which is, when you do the pricing of it, cheaper than a hotel for the luxury that we got, because the room had a sauna and a jacuzzi and was right off of a Shotengai, right near the port, the where the ferry comes in. So it was very convenient. But that was maybe my second experience seeing an Airbnb in Japan. For us, typically, that's not something that we do inside of Japan. I'm talking about my family in particular. I do know that it's fairly popular. It's more popular, I think, with foreign tourists than it is with other Japanese. But in some places out in the countryside, it might be the only accommodation available. There aren't a lot of hotels, in particular during that era where nobody could come to Japan. A lot of hotels, family-run places, went out of business. And the Airbnb, I would hope, is something that is a bright spot to Japan's tourism industry because there's just not enough hotels here. AYYLMAO, which means left my ass off. Been to Japan 3 times, always Airbnb, super easy. I actually, let me pull this up over here. I actually went on to Airbnb and I tried to see if I could make this work here. Hold on. All right. So this is the Airbnb website on my smartphone, and I'm gonna pause this at certain times here. So I just put up a place. I want to find a place on September 22nd to September 24th to 26th. 3 people. One of them is my son Leo, let's say, and my wife Kanai. And these are the places. It's intriguing to me because, as a resident of Tokyo, and I have an apartment here, these places look like apartments. It's quite a comfortable stay, and it looks like it is. The prices seem pretty affordable. 6,750 yen, which is about $40 with the exchange rate. 9,500 yen, which is about $68 with the exchange rate. These are just spitball figures here. It looks very comfortable, doesn't it? Setagaya, Taitoku. Setagaya, not really known for having a lot of attractions. It's off of the Yamanote line. It's more of a residential place. So I decided to pick one place. Where's the one right here? In near this Tokyo Skytree, which I figured would be really popular with tourists. It's just fun. Actually, it's just fun to look through this, my experience. Here's the one for Sumida-ku. You see, I'm gonna pull this one up here. It was 15,000 yen a night. It's a 3-minute walk from Oshiage Station, which is the Tokyo Skytree, 20.9 meters squared. That's not that big. So these photos are deceptive in a good way for the owner. I know that if you do stay here, and we're gonna figure this out. But it looks really incredible, doesn't it? I mean, it looks really nice. It's got like these bunk beds. You could pull up pictures of it, like a second floor. What do you call it? A loft to sleep up there. So you could fit 3 people pretty comfortably, maybe 4 if you've got a family. It's got a little kitchenette there. I'm sure you're not going to do a ton of cooking. Maybe you get a cup of noodles or some convenience store, whatever. It's got Netflix. It looks pretty comfortable. That means it's got internet, right? So we went in here and we did it, and it was reviewed pretty well here. T Home is the owner for 4 years. They've been doing it. Self check-in, free cancellation for 40 hours before. So there's a lot of like safety things baked into this. So I don't know too many people that have had a bad experience with Airbnb in Japan. I'm sure there are some. There always are. But I thought that this was interesting. So the owner had put in this please read section. Let's see if I can go back a second here to the top. Yeah, about this space. The nearest station is Oshiage. It's easy access to Narita Airport, Haneda, Asakusa, Ginza, and Shibuya. And before I read this, because I think this is fascinating here, and there's lots of issues with Airbnb in this. I asked ChatGPT, like, what was my question here? I mean, I pay for it. I probably shouldn't do that, but I pay for ChatGPT, so I kind of use it every now and then. But are there issues with Airbnb in Japan? And the answer was yes. There have been several issues with Airbnb Japan over the years, though the situation has improved as regulations have evolved. Some of the key issues include regulatory changes in 2018, and we're going to get into this. The Minpaku is like when you can take a residence and turn it into a hotel. There was a new regulations for short-term rentals, and this included Airbnb. It was probably a reaction to Airbnb. This helped a lot, but I think it hurt Airbnb owners a lot. But the regulations, they're never really good, but it's something. I think a regulation should be started and evolved a lot, but I haven't heard of any evolution of the regulations. We'll get into that number one here. The neighborhood complaints. This is something that a lot of owners and a lot of neighborhoods have had as a complaint, and these neighborhood complaints lead to these laws where they complain to the city office, and the city office makes these ordinance laws, regulations where you can't. So it's weird. In places in Tokyo, like I live in Chuoku, you're not allowed to have Minpaku on the weekdays. You can only have them on the weekends. And Taitoku, which is a ward just next to Chuoku, has different laws, different ordinances that are very unique. There's cultural differences. Japan has specific customers and etiquettes that may not be familiar to international visitors, like garbage disposal, loud behavior, misuse of facilities, have sometimes caused friction between Airbnb guests and not the owner, the local community. Safety and security concerns about safety and security, particularly in cases where properties are not properly maintained and monitored, have also been raised. Security is certainly an issue. Japan's pretty safe though, but like we always see secret cameras and things like this as well in places, so that kind of creeps me out. Economic impact. Airbnb has been beneficial for tourism. There have been concerns about its impact on the local housing market, particularly in popular areas. There's a lot of people who want to flip Akia and turn them into Airbnb, and a lot of neighborhoods are against this, despite the fact that they probably need to do something with the Akia. That's not always an easy thing to do, because again, the neighborhoods have to approve on this stuff. And then the tourism overload in some places, particularly popular tourist places like Kyoto, the influx of Airbnb visitors have contributed to over-tourism. This is from Airbnb, so we can't take it from a grain of salt, but it gives you a kind of an idea of some of the issues with regards to Airbnb in Japan. Now, this was, as you just heard from ChatGPT, we take a look now at what the owner of this particular property has written in as rules. And I think that a lot of this is probably consistent with other places. This is not a party room. This is a place to relax or stay, which I guess this makes a lot of sense. And this says a lot, because I think a lot of people will come to Japan, in particular, those under the age of 25. I'm just saying because I've seen the Halloween events in Shibuya. Mostly kids under the age of 25 who come here internationally and Japanese as well. No one's off the hook. They've caused a lot of problems in the past, and it just takes a few, but those few kept increasing the numbers, and that leads to issues. So I'm sure that they've had issues, and in particular with the neighborhoods. Now, Japanese neighborhoods, this is the biggest problem. Where everything is so close. So if you're having loud music and partying, your neighbor is right next to you. So internationals who are coming here probably aren't used to that. You're used to having a house where you can do whatever you want, and that's not the case in Japan. You get thin walls. Even I know after 10 p.m., I'm not going to be doing jumping jacks because I don't want to disturb the people below me. I'm not going to be banging the floor at 6 a.m., let's just say, because I don't, despite the fact that I pay rent. So you're always thinking about the people around you. And apparently that's not always the case. Because people come from different cultures, right? Anyways, John, what happened to the storm? I'll get into that a little bit later. It's sunny right now in Tokyo with blue skies. So if that answers your question for now. If there are noise complaints from the other rooms, we will charge a response fee of 50,000 yen per report. That's pretty expensive. That's like, to us, it feels like $500, but to you, if you have US dollars, it's about $350 for each report. And it doesn't say whether or not it's true or not. And if someone reports you, there's a good chance it's true, more so than it's not true. So again, like, to get a noise complaint, that probably means that this owner is under a lot of pressure because they've had some parties at this location. Additional cleaning fees may occur with large amounts of trash or damage in the room. This is an issue because people do leave a lot of trash behind, and Japanese owners have to pay for the trash. In particular, sodai gomi. Sodai gomi is, see if I can pull it. Sodai gomi is really large stuff like, I don't know, like a sofa or stuff that wouldn't fit in a typical trash bag because it's too large to be submitted. There's some guidelines to this, and you just can't put it to the curb to be picked up. So you have to call in advance, make a reservation, wait sometimes up to 3 weeks or a month, and then put it out on that specific day, and they'll pick it up to you after you bought seals from Family Mart or Lawson's or 7-Eleven at the convenience store. A, B, C stickers. They'll tell you when you call to make a reservation for your large garbage to be picked up, but it costs money to throw away a TV. And there'll be some people that will stay at the hotel and leave their TV in there or leave their luggage in there. Like, if you have a big suitcase that you don't want, you can't just leave it in the Airbnb and expect the owner to throw it away because they have to pay for that garbage to be disposed of. So I can understand why this, as somebody who's a resident of Tokyo, I can understand why the owner put that stipulation in there, right? That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, let's go through this here because it's fascinating here. The accommodation is close to the main road, so there's traffic noise. There is no elevator. That's also important to know. Some people want an elevator. You don't want to climb steps. Make sure you check that out for sure. The entire room is completely reserved for you. There's no sharing with other guests. Just basically, if you make a reservation for 4 people, don't bring a 5th person, which makes sense. And you're going to understand why when you look at the Minpaku laws of 2018. Their owners are under a lot of stress. It's not just you. You're only thinking about yourself. I want you to think a little bit about the owner when you take an Airbnb. They're trying to make money, but a lot of these prices are pretty good compared to the hotels. They have Wi-Fi, double bed, blah, blah, blah. So everything is there that is required and more from the Minpaku law. So there's regulations that say what you need. Normally, there's only a set of towels. That's another thing. Make sure I would bring your own towel, or you can buy them for a really cheap price. Especially if you're going to be staying for a long time, it's probably a good idea to have your own towel. You might want to buy your own pillowcases, or you might want to buy your own pillows. Sometimes that makes for a more comfortable stay. Again, it's not a hotel. Look, I had these really uncomfortable barley pillows. I don't know if you guys have ever had one. Japanese traditional pillows have barley or like grain inside of it. It's like sleeping on a bag of rocks. So sometimes you want to bring your own pillow. You have your own comfort level. Bring in your pillow from homes, like, bring in your blankie. Please coordinate the online check-in in advance. I like this though. We didn't meet the owner in Sado. There was actually a box to get the key. You had owner gave you a code. You picked up the key, and we were able to get in. I thought that was really convenient. Feel free to use the washing machine and detergent. We had a washing machine in Sado as well, and it was free. But this one looks like you're paying for it. I probably understand why. Nightwear is not provided. A lot of Japanese hotels have yukata or pajamas. Just keep in mind that Airbnb are not like typical hotels. You got to bring your own. Will not allow guests with symptoms such as fever. They're probably worried about you know what. So yeah, that's it. That's good to know. But like, I don't know how they would enforce it. They're not actually meeting you. If the police called due to complaints or noise, it talks about that fee. Please take large items with you. I'm sure they had people leave large bags behind over the course of the year. Please take large items such as suitcases home. I'm sure people left any items left behind that are over 30 centimeters in size will incur a business bulky waste fee, which is actually a real thing. 3,300 yen. The stickers aren't actually that much, but the trouble to have to store the stuff is maybe the issue. You have to wait. It's not like you can throw it away the next day. You sometimes have to wait like a month. So this owner's got to have to store your luggage for a month until they can pick it up for the trash. This is not a party room. They reiterate this. And then the registration number, which is required by law. I think that this is pretty standard stuff, but it gives you an idea that there's a lot of stress for the owners. So I went in and I looked at the reviews here. So let's read a couple of these. These are always interesting. Let's see if we can get this one up here. Very well located next to Skytree and well arranged nearby subway, restaurants, and entertainment. The only downside is that the apartment looks bigger than in the shot photos, which I get when you look at 20 square meters. Americans don't do square meters or meters squared, so you don't get an idea. That's not a lot of space. I've seen rooms that are a lot smaller, but that's not a lot of space. So, at 3 people is doable, but after you open the suitcases, it looks like it's going to be a lot more. Maria writes in here, the place is small and what's on the picture. Couldn't connect with the Wi-Fi so pretty much non-existent Wi-Fi. Somebody said it was on the first floor. So you get these issues with the Wi-Fi. So these are things you have to think about. How important is Wi-Fi for you? Do you have your own pocket router? That's probably something that's pretty interesting. This person gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Really? Because it's such a beautiful looking place. To start off with some of the negative aspects, the Wi-Fi is extremely slow. There's a minus star. The modem is on the ground floor, so I get that here. We reached out to the host to resolve, but asked us to reboot the modem, which didn't help for future stays. So they just are not set up for the modernity of tourists. Look, you probably should be using the TV anyways. Go outside and enjoy Tokyo. Maybe that's a good way to give you a kick in the butt. But if it's a rainy day, maybe you want that Wi-Fi. The couch is lumpy and uncomfortable, so it was a waste. Hey, I'm not gonna blame that. People have different feelings. So, hold on. Otherwise, the location was amazing. The beds were comfy. The private bath with a separate toilet, shower, and sink is helpful. That's standard in Japan. Very efficiently. The place was great, exactly as described. So I think I agree with that. The owner, I haven't seen the place, but it looks like the owner isn't just trying to deceive anybody here. Suburb location, 3 minutes walk from the subway station, close to Skytree and supermarket. That's interesting. This is also close to the cake vending machine near Tokyo Skytree. So there you go. I think it's some fascinating stuff here. I want to pull up really quickly and then talk about the Minpaku law here. And then let me see here. Hold on a second. I just kind of want to pause this here. All right. So the Minpaku law is it's kind of strict and makes it hard for. Hold on a second. Pushing pause here. Maybe I could just push stop here. So there's a lot of requirements that are necessary for it. Just to sum this up, they have to keep track of all of the guests and report this every 2 months. You can't operate a Minpaku more than 180 days of the year. I don't know if that's 180 days of people who are staying. So if no one's staying, if that counts against you, or you can only operate from let's say January 1st to June 30th or whatever 180 days is. I'm sure there's, So I'm not quite sure on that part of the law, but it's all listed here. The point of me showing you this is that there are a ton of things that you need to show to prove and get that business registration number that you saw. You probably need to register your Minpaku on the Airbnb site. So Airbnb owners are under a lot more stress than they would be in other countries. That makes it more complicated. And I think with the really crazy garbage laws, not the recycling and garbage disposal in Japan, in residential areas, is something that is super sensitive. All right, this was really interested in. I don't know why I can't stop it. In Otaku or in Nakanoku, it's going really quickly. Chuoku, these are the laws that I'm telling you about. In Shibuya residential areas, you can't have them on the weekdays. I'm just giving you some examples here. It's scrolling by pretty quickly. There's actually a link in the description of this video if you want me to take a look at this. But the reason I wanted to show you is to give you an understand that the owners have a lot of responsibilities, not just for the law. And this is why my wife was thinking about turning her grandfather's house into a minpaku to rent out. It's really hard, and there's a lot of things against you to do something like this. That's why there aren't more Airbnbs in Tokyo. That's why there aren't more out in the countryside, because there's just a hassle. And after you've had a couple of bad experiences with tourists, maybe even 10% of them, let's say you have 10%, 1 out of every 10 is a really bad experience for the owner. You start to think like, is it really worth it? You know, maybe I just sell the house. You know what? Maybe I don't need to be here. And it's not easy to sell these houses actually, because they were Akiya to begin with. There's a reason why. So I think there's a lot of things against the owners here, and that's why the Airbnb. I hope this answers your question. I think that's why the Airbnb is not really popular in Japan. I'm just shocked when I go out to the countryside and there's no Airbnb options at all, and you see Akiya all over the place. All right, if you're watching live, I want you to write in your questions. I'm going to scroll here and read some of these. Honestly, these strict laws will keep lazy owners away. So many countries are facing housing issues in popular destinations because folks buy property, set it, and forget it. They're just remote. That's a good way to, that's really good feedback. Again, a different way to think about things. I can tell you, you're probably right on this, because the owners that we dealt with in Sado, they were really on their game. Our air conditioner broke while we were there, and while we were away, they fixed it, and we came back in, and the complex was just chill. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. It didn't really do that well because it didn't have Tokyo in it. I think everybody's looking for Tokyo information. Let me see if I can pull that video up. But I gave you a tour of this Airbnb, and I'll put the link in the description of this video as well if you want to go check it out. But this is what we got, and it was fantastic. And I can understand why a lot of you really like that Airbnb experience, because it's really cool. What was the title of it? It wasn't that long ago. Oh, here it is. Japanese Island Port Town Street View. It was 21 minutes long. I know you can't see that one. Japanese Island Port Town Street View, Sado Island. If you check that out, you can take a look at it. I'll put a link in the description later. Don't watch it now. We're still talking. Thanks for that feedback there. They were young, yes. Some even took mattresses. So we got a chat going on about something that happened here. Beyond Travels writes in here, I will be staying in a capsule hotel instead of Airbnbs if you come to Japan. Capsule hotels, and thanks for that, Beyond Travel. Always appreciate you here. I don't recommend capsule hotels. I don't think that First Cabin is a capsule hotel. I think they use that because of the novelty of it. A capsule hotel is meant for business travelers. It is literally a capsule. It's not supposed to be comfortable. You're not supposed to bring luggage there. It's for crashing, meaning you're a business dude, you're doing business in this town, and you just want to crash there. But the novelty of staying in a capsule, which is a Japanese concept, is an experience people want to try, and it's cheap. And a lot of these places, it was partially my fault, because I made a video about this, I think in like 2015. It was one of the first, and a lot of people copied it in a way. There were other capsule hotel videos in the past, but none of them that were very thorough. And this one really laid it out. And afterwards, I remember the manager, when I went back there a little bit later, contacted him. I said, was the manager had his business card? And he said, "You won't believe how many tourists came in." He said, "Now it's like 80% tourists now." And he was thanking me, but also he said that a lot of issues came as a result of it. Tourists are not quiet. They don't understand that people are sleeping, that in the capsules you have to be quiet. They don't understand how to take the Japanese bath. They don't understand about cleanliness and thinking about the people around you, just general things. And I'm not talking about everybody. It's a number of people that are enough to make it really challenging. So he had to change his model a little bit and make it more for foreigners than Japanese, and that turned off Japanese customers. So you can see it's hard to do what Japanese customers want and what foreign tourists want. So that's how First Cabin, in my opinion, came out to be what it is. It's not a capsule hotel. It is a compromise between what the tourists really want, and it's not what Japanese want. It's what the tourists are kind of looking for, a really confined space that looks like a capsule, but you can do the things that you can't do at a capsule hotel, and which is probably a good thing because they had really nasty, dirty channels on the capsule hotels too. Capsule hotels are not clean. I've stayed in maybe about 10 of them over my years, not by choice. That was the only place. And every time they have nasty channels that I just discover, and I do watch for an extended period of time because it's not something I would see at home. It's very interesting to learn about what kind of programming is on in the country, right? I don't even know if it's it's not pay-per-view. It was just on. I was watching. And I'm just going to lay this out here. I want you to think about this because a lot of you are smart people. I probably have normal, average intellect. I don't know. I'll let you guys judge this from the amount of years that I've been talking and whatever. But if there's dirty channels on the channel and there's a tissue box inside the capsule, I bet you there's some action going on. And I don't know. I did not see them washing the walls. I'm just saying I would not blacklight a capsule hotel bed area ever. Ever. Don't do it. It can't be good. It's logic. You put 1 and 2 together, you're gonna get 3. All right. I got 7. Imagination, maybe. Perhaps it doesn't happen that often. I doubt that. And when I say it did not happen. All right. Just put that out there. And it is gross. And you should be going, ooh. And you should know the realities of staying in a capsule hotel. If a dirty channel is on and there's tissues in there, think about it. All right. That's why don't take your family there. Don't take your kids there. It's not a family place. A capsule hotel is nasty. All right. It's for business dudes. Usually they're single for a reason. I don't know. Everybody's different. Or I just needed a place to crash, or they're drunk or whatever. All right. I've had pretty good experiences in them, but I'm just telling you, stuff happens in those capsules. The snoring is atrocious. It's so loud. So, look, I've lived here for a long, long time. I don't know. This is too long on this. So there you go. There's my take on that. Capsule hotels don't make sense for a week long look, and with that said, and that's a good comment, some people, they do. Everybody's different. I know a guy who stayed there for like a month. He just used it as a base. That's crazy. But you can do it. But the thing is, like, that's not why they were invented. That's not why capsule hotels were created, not for this kind of travel. So the owners, the business people had to reimagine the capsule hotels for that. I love the comments. Thanks for bringing it in here. It's nice to see you again, Peso. I remember 8 years ago, I was trying to, I don't know, should I even read this? I was trying to get my whole family to do a night at a capsule hotel. Peso, really? You know better now. Capsule hotels smell. They are not as clean as they appear. It's not for an experience. Oh my God, don't get me started on the snoring. I had to sleep in one for a night, never again. 2 cents. These are the ones in the cities that are made of plastic, and you know what you're getting into. All right, now there's another concept that I want to just tell you that not all capsule hotels are capsule hotels. Some of them I found, in particular, there's a great place called, was it A&K Guest House in Noboribetsu. They have a share room, and I typically will stay there. It's only like 3,000 yen a night. It's very convenient. Right next to my friend's toy store in Noboribetsu. Maybe you've seen that, the Japanese toy episode with my friend Matt Alt, and Matt stayed there as well. They're basically bunk beds, but they've set it up with they've done there's some DIY and put walls around it to give you privacy with a curtain there, and it reminds me of a capsule hotel, but it's basically a bunk bed. So you have an outlet and everything in there. You don't have a TV in there. I don't think you did. Don't put if there's a TV in the capsule hotel, there's something wrong. In my mind, maybe not in yours, but it was a comfortable stay. So what is defined as a capsule hotel is like a lot of them, very narrow, TV inside. You have all these amenities. You have an onsen inside of there, and mostly, and only men. And this was like, I think men and women were in the same one. So it was a little bit different, more bohemian, I guess, in that sense. But my definition of a capsule hotel is probably different than what you guys think is a capsule hotel. And I don't think first cabin is a capsule hotel. It's a first cabin. Let's put it like that. All right. It's like first class, like a first class cabin. But that whole concept came out as a result. And I remember when they first opened, as a result of more tourists wanting the capsule hotel experience, but a compromise on the space and the privacy levels that were needed at the time. So you pay a little bit more for that. Not a bad thing. And a lot of people stay at the first cabins. I got no problem with that. It's all right. Sorry about the noise here. Every time the sun comes out, the light exposure changes. Good questions here. Men only capsules. Leave the wife and kids. Yeah, that's an issue. This light's going. Sorry. I could fix it. I'll take one more question here, and then let's tie this up. I wouldn't want to stay in those love hotels. Love hotels are disgusting. Well, look, I love the fact that you brought this up, Heather. Yeah, you know what? When I was younger, I stayed in love hotels when I traveled with my girlfriend because it was just easy to get around, and they were cheaper. Sometimes they have like PlayStations in there, karaoke machines, jacuzzis. You don't know what happened on the bed that you're sleeping in the night before in any hotel. Like, you don't know who they were. You don't know what they were doing. And that's how I can, in the love hotels, you know what's happening. But look, I've been in normal hotels and I've done the stuff in them. So, I mean, let's use your common sense. It's a hotel, right? If you're going there, on my honeymoon, any hotel is going to be, any bed's going to become a love hotel pretty much. Depends, what kind of marriage you got, I guess. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, there you go. So that's a good place to tie it up here. So this light is done. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But I really do appreciate it. In fact, if you would be so kind, if you have a question for another one of these call-ins, or I should say one of these, I just answer your questions and kind of elaborate on it, definitely leave it in the comments below, and I will cut it out like I did for Mail Odyssey and leave one. Love hotels from Frank the... Hey, Frank the Tank, how you doing? Love hotels are basically public brothel beds. I don't think it's that bad. There's a chain of love hotels that I've featured on NHK World Tokyo Eye, and I would stay there again. It was called Bali On. It's run by Paseo, I think, which is like a normal chain. Or was it? I don't know what they do. But they have a chain of now these Bali Ons. It's like you're going on a stay in Bali with your wife. Because, if you've got kids and you live in a small apartment, you're not doing much stuff. So you got to go to a love hotel. It's not always what you think. I saw a love hotel in my first town of Okazaki, like a couple 100 meters away. And I was like, why would you put a love hotel here? There's not a lot of... because parents want a place to go, and we got to get Japanese population up. Maybe that's one reason families don't have more than one kid. Just put this stuff out there. We got to change, my son sleeps with us. It's not the best situation right now, but we intend to move. You know what I mean? So Frank the Tank, you might be right, but brothel beds, I think all beds are, you should have the thinking that every bed that you slept in, somebody probably did the deed in there, and you're not the first. Unless it's a brand new hotel. I'm just saying. Unless you bring your own mattresses and stuff. You have to be real about this. But I'm glad that you're coming back to Tokyo. Maybe I'll see you around. Nice to see. I'm glad that you're here, Frank the Tank. Thank you. Balian, is Balian the Appa Hotel of love hotels? Probably. It's really comfortable. What I loved about the Balian, and this is not an endorsement, although it kind of is. People don't check in a sketchy way. Like in a love hotel, you don't even see the owner's face. You just see their hands, and you pick a. I haven't been to one in like well over a decade. You just push a button, and the light would go off, and you reserve it, and you'd pay the lady in cash at the thing, and then you'd follow lights up to your room, and the light would go off, and once you go in, you can't exit. Balian was not like that. It was like a hotel room. You would meet and see the other couples. People are not like, maybe they are cheating on each other. I don't know, but it wasn't run like a secret thing. And I think that makes it different. But all hotels are like that. But the exception is that this love hotel was not like a love hotel in that respect. Chan, who is in the back of a trunk, I hope not a brothel trunk. All I can say is these are better options than a trunk. See, I knew you were going to say something about your trunk. I'm glad that you're doing good, Chan. And I know it's winter where you are, so hopefully you're staying warm in that trunk. We'll give you some of that heat from Tokyo, gladly. And Chan does have a story to tell. He's been in the trunk of a car for several years now, and he's been commenting, apparently, the 4G or maybe even 5G gets through the closed trunk. So thank you for calling in, Chan. It's like a call-in show. I like special hotels instead of love hotels. The love hotels, all right. Airbnb is fun, and I like the fact that Airbnbs have themes. They probably stole that from love hotels, because I remember when I was that age and I did go to love hotels, there was like an Alice in Wonderland room. Like some of the love hotels have themes to them. That is fun. That's experience. And if you're in your 20s, you should definitely do a love hotel if you're coming with your significant other, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whatever. I don't care. That's what a love hotel is for. You know, you're going to be able to find some interesting rooms. And, you know, you can stay for the night. And in fact, most people do rests in Tokyo, which is like a 3-hour rest. You can stay starting at like 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. until the next day. And this is why this was actually a recommended option by the city of Tokyo. I'm not joking. The city of Tokyo recommended that travelers to Japan, because of the hotel crunch in 2019, consider a love hotel as an option for the night. You can't make reservations for a love hotel. You just go and see what's available. But if you go to Shibuya or Ikebukuro or even Shinjuku, I don't know if they still have them around because there's been a lot of renovations in Kabukicho, but there were quite a lot of them, and they're quite interesting, and they're pretty affordable for what you get if you can kind of close your mind off onto what was on there once. So that's all I have to say about that. And thank you, Peso, for sharing your experience. Peso is wise in his experiences. Yeah, so Airbnb, I hope that ties it up for you. When you do come and stay at an Airbnb, please keep in mind that the owner is probably in the city, if their neighbors are around, probably struggling struggling in the sense like they really don't want to lose their business. And they could if bad people stay there, and you don't have any idea about the sensibilities of Japanese neighborhoods. I think an Airbnb for a long-term stay is very interesting because it also gives you the opportunity to experience what life is like in Tokyo. And that is kind of stressful because you have to abide by certain neighborhood rules. And even if you're at a hotel, you don't have to. But if you're in an Airbnb, you do. You have to take out your trash. You have to do this and that. And maybe there are some things listed in English for you, but it's not that easy for Airbnb owners to comply to local rules as well as to the wishes of the people who stay there. So maybe that's why they should perhaps charge a little bit more. I don't know. Interesting discussion. Again, leave your comments below. Ask me a question about anything. If it's interesting and something that's going to apply to our large audience, I will definitely take it up and discuss it in this kind of a format, either outside walking around in the world or here in my house in Tokyo. where the sunshine is coming in and out like crazy right now. The typhoon is done. As far as I know, I believe that it was like swirling out in the Pacific, but it's into a tropical depression and now just a bunch of rain. And there's going to be some pressure systems that force it out. So eventually it's going to go out to sea and just break apart. I don't know if it's going to make its way up to Nagoya or if it comes here in the next couple of days. But I'm not going to cover it anymore. There's another typhoon that's brewing up in the Sea of Philippines or something. The next one's coming. Next one up. So keep that in mind when you plan your trip to Japan. I gave you some pretty good advice over the last couple of weeks on this. Take it. It's free. And again, thanks for the members and the Patreon supporters. This month's postcard is the largest fireworks shell in the world, a 420 kilogram mega shell being loaded into a cannon. And I had access to film that twice. It's a pretty cool thing when you make friends with the somewhat insane creator of a mega shell fireworks that he launches 2 times a year. If you're in if you're in Japan in the middle of September, I highly recommend you checking out the Katakai Fireworks Festival in Niigata. It's about a 2-hour trip from Tokyo. You got to go to Nagaoka, and then you can take a bus or local train there, and you can walk. You don't have to go to the event space. You can see it anywhere in the town. Loads of street food. There's not a lot of places to stay. Just keep that in mind. How do you get out of there? I'm not sure. Probably you have to get a taxi. Go back to Nagaoka. Make sure you have a hotel reservation before you go if you're thinking of spending the night, because this is at night. But it's over the course of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, I believe, or Friday, Saturday. And they light up, and both nights they have a 420 mega shell launched up. Both nights. He's insane. He makes 2 every year. I don't know. The night I was there, it didn't work. And last year I went on a tour, and I got a chance to see the Shakodama, Yon Shakodama. It was pretty incredible. It's the largest fireworks shell that's launched annually every year in Japan. It's not like something where they're trying to get the Guinness Book of World Record. It's just insane. It doesn't make sense to launch anything like this, but that's his claim to fame, and I love him for that. I love Honda-san. He's an amazing man. Because I haven't seen him in a while. He doesn't come to Tokyo very often, but I got a chance to see him last year, and he's doing well. But you know, we're both. Everybody gets a little older, but he's a genius in his profession, and it's good to have friends like that. All right, everybody, take care. I'll see you in another episode real soon. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments below. Anything about Japan, I'll do an episode about it, discuss it. In particular, if it has something to do about travel or you need some advice, I want to know. We have a Discord server where you can ask people that are living here in Japan right now or traveling, and they're pretty happy to help you in the general chat. I sometimes chime in there as well, but it's nice to be able to have a friend if you need it or get in trouble or you need some advice. There's a good chance you'll find them on our Discord server, and I really do appreciate our ever-expanding community. What is it, 18 or 19,000 people there? It's humbling to have so many community members now on our Discord server. So thank you guys so much for being a part of that, and it's free. Anyways, see ya in the next live stream. Mata ne.